This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the bottom feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about fine-tuning your business. And this is because I just got off the phone recently with one of my group members, and he was asking me about how to kind of refine his business and get it in order for him to expand properly. And I'll go over some of the process when you're thinking about expanding and how to fine-tune your current business. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. I find it interesting that a lot of people don't sit down and analyze their business to see where they're actually making their money, what's profitable, and to focus on that. It's one of those things where I get it, you're busy, you're out there, you're getting calls, you're getting leads, and you're doing a bunch of stuff, and you think you're making money, but in a lot of cases, you're not really maximizing your time and energy to make money. Let me give you an example. For example, let's say someone calls you for a green pool cleanup, and you give them a bid, and let's say it's $800, and it takes you, I'm going to just say, about 10 hours to get this pool cleaned up. Initially, you're spending about 2 hours there the first day. You're brushing it, you're getting all the debris out, and then you're, whatever method you choose to use, either flocking it or if you're going to bomb it with chemicals. And then you're going back the next day, cleaning the filter, shocking it again, brushing it, getting some more debris out. This is, by the way, a pretty bad green pool, probably a level 4 for that price and for this amount of work. And then you're going back the following weeks, cleaning the filter and spending some time cleaning the pool. And then at the end of that time, you've finished the green pool cleanup, you've made $800, but you've invested a lot of hours that could have been utilized to make more money. The same thing with equipment install. If you're not getting a lot of equipment leads and you're putting equipment in ever so often, if you spend 3 or 4 hours putting in a pump, sometimes it takes that long depending on the plumbing. In California, there's some really tight equipment pads, and it takes a long time to get the old pump out and to plumb in the new one. It's just one of those things where you have to deal with that. And that's time also. But let's just say that you have 60 service accounts. You're doing repairs here and there. You're doing green pool cleanups. You're not really marketing yourself to get more accounts per se. You're just doing these extra services. And you're just going out there and spending these hours doing acid washes, pump installs, filter installs sometimes, and these green pool cleanups. Now I'm going to say you're putting in 10 hours a week doing these things here. And this is something that you're making money, of course, doing, and you're happy to make that money. But let's just back up a minute and let's see if that 10-hour period can be better utilized just servicing pools, getting more service accounts, advertising on Google, maybe using Yelp and Home Advisor and Thumbtack. Be careful with those services because they are commission driven, and they're also services where if you don't get the leads, you're still paying the fee on that. Google Ads is similar to that. You do pay for the leads because if someone clicks on the ad, the way Google Ads work is that you set a budget. So you set it for $1,000 a month, and you want to be the third listing on there. And so they'll set up how much it costs for you to be the third listing in the area when someone's searching for pool service. Let's say you're looking for service in the area and your name comes up as the third one, crystal clear blue pools, and they click on it. That'll take them to your website. You may get that lead, you may not get that lead, but you pay for that click on that link. And so that hits your budget. And hopefully you're getting more leads for the amount of money you're investing. You may not use your whole budget that month, and then that rolls over to next month. Sometimes you use that whole budget up and you may have to add more for that month. But if you're getting a lot of leads, it's definitely worth it. So bottom line, let's just say that you're advertising aggressively for weekly service accounts now, and you fill that 10 hours up, and let's just say you're doing 2 pools an hour, and that's pretty average. Sometimes you can do 3 in an hour, and some areas you can actually do 4 in an hour, but let's just say 2 pools per hour. So that's 10 extra accounts. So let's just say you're charging $180 a month for those pools times 10. That's $1,800 for that 10-hour period where you have those pools there. And I think that's a low estimate as far as time and how many pools you can do. It kind of varies by state and area and size of pools. So that's $1,800 a month you're adding to you're already making whatever amount. So $1,800 a month. Now, can you do enough green pools, installs, and acid washes to sustain that 10-hour period and make $1,800 a month? And this is what I mean by fine-tuning your business and maximizing your profits. It doesn't cost a lot of money for that weekly service route, and you're making pretty good profit here off that $1,800, because at the end of the day, when you're installing equipment and you're also doing acid washes and you're doing green pool cleanups, all of that is not pure profit. There's a lot of time involved, and time is money. And if you're going to do an acid wash and charge $800 and spend 5 hours doing that, you could be better off just building up your route and expanding your service accounts to fill that time, and then turning down those acid washes, or if you have extra time on another day doing those acid washes. The point is, you want to be sure you maximize your hours per week, because you don't really want to be working 50 hours per week. Now, when you're starting, you are working a lot more hours because you're building leads and getting accounts and you're out there. But in reality, the reason why you're doing pool service is to maximize your profits without putting in 50 or 60 hours per week. And the other end of this model, when you're building up your service route, is that this allows you to bring on an employee to do the pools and also expand that way and scale that way. You really can't scale tremendously bringing on an employee doing acid washes and green pool cleanups. They really can't do that for you. In a lot of cases, they may help you with that, but the reality is that the more service accounts you have, the easier it is to scale and the more money you're going to make. And let's just say you take this $1,800 over the course of 12 months. That's a total of $21,600 just by bringing on 10 service accounts and filling the time that maybe you were doing these other things with. And this is consistent income where the other things may not be quite as consistent over the course of the year, especially in the off season when you're not getting a lot of leads for green pool cleanups, acid washes, and equipment installs. In fact, equipment installs tend to drop off dramatically around November, December, and don't pick up again until April or March of the next season. Most people can limp through the winter with equipment that's running substandardly. And basically, with these 10 accounts, let's just say that you get another 10 more on top of that. So you've added 20 accounts and you just double that. That's $43,200 a year. And at this point, with those 20 accounts, you can actually bring on a part-time employee and give them some of these accounts and make profit off of that and continue to expand. Now, you can get to a point where it's logical for you to have maybe 2 employees doing 40 or 50 pools a week for you. Again, you don't really want to overload too much on the employee end, because if someone's sick or if they can't make it in or if they quit, you have to find some way to maintain those 40 or 50 pools yourself. And if you're doing 60 pools and you have to pick up the employees' 40 pools, that's unsustainable at that point. And of course, if you have 2 employees, you can give them some pools to do, or you can try to bring on someone rapidly. But you want to set your business up so that if you are bringing on employees, that there's a fail-safe built in, so if something happens, you're able to do that work. A lot of times, if you do bring on employees, you're doing a lot less pools yourself, and then you're expanding by doing repairs and doing the other services. Now, one thing about repairs that you should know is that in a lot of states, you need to be licensed to do anything over $500. And here in California, you need a D35 license. It's not too difficult to get. There's online courses you can find to do that, to get that license. And a lot of people don't even have a license, and they're doing a lot of installs and repairs over that amount. And it's one of those gray areas in California, at least. No one really checks too deep on that. A lot of people are working without their licenses, and it's something that hasn't really been addressed too well by the state. I know Florida is a different story altogether. In Florida, they really focus and crack down on people that aren't licensed. And so that may be something to consider. You may want to just outsource the repairs so that you don't have to worry about getting your license and doing the repairs, because truthfully, if you're not doing a ton of these repairs and you're not doing a lot of them consistently, you're not maximizing your profits anyway, and it may not be worth it. Really, I would say that your focus, if you really want to make money, is to do either or. A lot of times, if you're just doing repairs only, you're going to get a lot of leads. You're going to work for a lot of different pool companies doing automated systems, putting in pumps and motors. An automated system takes, a good 10 to 12 hours to install in some cases, and you don't have that time to do that. You don't get that many of them. It may not be worth your time. You may want to find someone you can outsource it to, and they can do all of that for you. So how do you decide which direction you want to go? Or how do you figure out that you're doing too much and not focused on what makes you the money? Well, it's very simple, and it's something that anyone can do. You don't have to take courses and go through any kind of classes for this. All you need basically is a piece of paper and kind of your numbers of how much you're bringing in. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you have 60 accounts again, and you're making $180 per account, or charging $180 per account. That's $10,800. And if you do acid washes and repairs and things like that, let's just say you're bringing in, I'm going to say $1,400 more a month. That gives you $12,200 per month. But again, you're not making quite as much as if you just spent that time to get 10 extra accounts, because in that case, you'd be making $12,600, which is an extra $400 or $4,800 a year. So there's one quick example, and you can kind of break it across the months and see how much money you're making every month in repairs and extra services, and how much time you're spending doing those extra services, and then you can go from there. And I think a lot of times you're making pretty good money when you're doing these extra jobs out there, and you don't really sit down and think about what would happen if you just consistently focus on one aspect of your business. For example, let's just say you wanted to do more repairs, because that's making you pretty good money. So one thing you can do is cut your route down. A lot of people do this as well. You may have 60 pools. Well, then maybe you'll sell 30 of them, maintain 30 pools, but that frees you up for 3 days a week to do repairs. And then you can do repairs for other companies. And since you're not really looking for accounts, they're going to trust you more and give you more and more work. And you can fill those 3 days up pretty full with repairs, and you can really maximize your money. And you still have a small route that's bringing you some income for those 2 days a week when you're not doing the repairs. And there may be some dry times where you're not getting as many repairs. There may be some times where you're so busy that you're behind by a week or two in repairs, and you're filling your week up completely with that. So this is something to consider as well. There's all different ways of looking at this, and there's all ways of analyzing and setting up your business to maximize your profits. It doesn't have to just be building service accounts and having 80 pools, or doing 40 pools and having 2 employees doing more pools. You can in fact just do all repairs and have people running the route for you if you wanted to build it up that way and maximize your money. A lot of people do that as well. So there's many ways of looking at this model to maximize it. I think the thing is, you can't really do too much to maximize profits. Most businesses that are successful focus on specific categories and just do that work. For example, the plumber that I use doesn't do anything beyond the basic plumbing stuff and installs, because there's really no money in his time out there doing a lot of stuff he won't replace a sewer line because to trench it, to get it out and dig it out and put a new one in takes too many hours because he makes more money putting in water heaters, fixing clogged toilets and drains versus trenching for a sewer line. So he won't do anything like that. The same thing with my electrician. He'll just do the basic electrical stuff, put in new panels, but he doesn't do any of the drywall or repairs because he can do it, but it takes time. He has to go get the stucco and, do all that, paint it. And for him, he just outsources that because it's not something that he wants to spend time doing. He makes more money doing the electrical stuff and not the other end of it. And if you look at your business through that kind of lens, what am I doing that maximizes profits? What am I doing that's wasting my time basically, but I'm making money doing it? And how can I fine tune that to maximize the amount of money I'm making and the amount of time I'm investing to make that money? Again, you just have to analyze your business, take a deep dive. What's the most profitable part of your business? I would say in most cases, for most companies, the most profit comes from doing the weekly service. Adding more service accounts is going to bring in more revenue, consistent revenue, than doing things that aren't as consistent. And by the way, if you are doing a green pool cleanup or an acid wash, the only reason why I would do something or do that job is to land that service account. If someone calls you for a green pool cleanup and they're just selling their house or they just want it cleared up because they want to maintain the pool, I definitely would pass on that because you're doing all that work and you're not reaping the benefits of that service account. For example, if you don't get that service account because they don't really want service, that's $180 a month, and that's in 1 year that's $2160. That's much more than the $800 you charge for the green pool cleanup, and you don't maximize that money. So it'd be $2160 the first year plus $800. You would make $2960 off that one service account if you bring them on the service and do the green pool cleanup. And that's definitely maximizing the profit at that one pool. And if you just do that over the course of the next 3 years, let's say you have that account for 3 years, and so that's $7,280 over a 3-year period. But if you just do the green pool cleanup and don't capture that account, all that money is basically gone at that point. So I don't think it's really worth, if you're expanding, to do a acid wash or green pool cleanup if they're not going to come on the service. Just let someone else do it in that case, because your goal is to maximize your profits, not just in the year you're in or the moment you're in, but over the long term projected. And that's a key, I think, in setting your business up. You can do year to year and you could make pretty good profit doing many things. But if you're looking at long-term success and projecting your business out over the course of 3, 5, 10 years, what is it that's going to maximize your profit? What's going to make your business scalable or more easy to scale? And how do you implement that to do that? There's all different ways of implementing it. You can even expand into some remodeling, construction, if you wanted to go that direction. But basically, you have to start with maximizing the profits now, getting the model that you want to go forward with, maybe not doing as much or doing as many different things and focusing on certain things that are making the most money. But the key is to get started and to really look at your business through that lens of where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? And what I'm doing now going to get me to where I want to be in 3 to 5 years? If you're looking for other podcasts, you can find them on my website, swimmingprolearning.com. Click on the podcast icon on the banner. That'll take you to a drop-down menu of other podcasts that I have there. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.